a reminder, when your application is up, the moderator, I guess if that's what you want to be called today, Larry, will bring you in, the applicants in, and we will discuss at that time the details of the application. As we normally do, we will start with continuations in ascending order by application number, and then go to new matters similarly by ascending application order. So we will start with ARB 20-19, 2 Hancock Place addition.
Okay. I'm looking for the representative. It should be Christina.
Christina Griffin, right?
Oh, CGA. That's her?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, hold on. Christina?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can't see you.
Okay, hold on.
There you are.
Hi, good evening.
Hello. Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to share the screen here.
I gave you permission, so you should be okay.
Okay, thank you. Just a minute, please. Just give me a second while I get set up here.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you for your patience. Okay, I'm actually going to be joined by Lino Sciarretta in a few minutes, but I'm going to get started. What we're planning to do is to show you now how we responded to your comments from the last meeting.
Christina, if I might interrupt you, I'd like to go through the whole application before we hear from Lino.
Okay. This is our cover sheet, and this project consists of two-story additions. We have a addition on the right side of the house, which is the south side, and the concept behind the addition was to provide garage, a two-car garage on this side of the house that would blend in with the existing style and character of the house. This is our site plan. I'm just to refresh your memory. This house right now has a two-car garage in the back with a long driveway, and we've been through a process of review and approval by the planning board, and then one meeting with the zoning board to have a new garage built on the other side of the house, so that now the garage would be accessed by a driveway off of Hancock. We have a landscaping plan that was reviewed by the planning board, and the village landscaping architect consultant We have our own landscape architect and also a arborist that did a study of the trees on the property. And this is the site, the landscaping plan that was approved by the planning board. I just have this in case you need it, you want to refer to it, but we also have a civil engineer that did our storm drainage analysis to go with the new driveway. Now, since the last meeting, we have looked at the comments that you provided. We've looked at the size and the scale of the house with the garage. I want to remind you that we meet the floor area ratio according to the zoning district. We looked at the garage. The garage is actually the same size because it's minimal in size for a 2-car garage, so we kept that. But we have looked at other ideas, such as on the second floor, we have these 3 dormers here for this bedroom 4. The dormers have changed because we know that as a designer and architect that dormers will help mitigate a mass of buildings. So we have created a larger dormer in the front and 2 dormers on each side of this bedroom. Previously, we just had 2 small dormers. And I'll show you what that looks like. And by the way, all we've done is reconfigured the floor plan. We still have less than the maximum floor area for the house. So we also decided to set up our drawing so that you can see before and after. On the bottom of the page here is the existing west elevation. On the top is proposed. The proposed does show the brick on the building, but it's the same as below. And by the way, I was the architect for this house years ago, and I designed this addition and this portico. And this addition here has actually been designed to fit more in keeping with the original house. There was an existing lower roof line. If you look down below, there's a lower hipped roof here right now, and we're planning to just bring it forward and match the same roof slopes, have the same hipped roof so that it ties in with that original hipped roof. We are putting a dormer on this second floor, which is going to match exactly the dormer that's on the other side, which is the 2-story addition that was done about, I don't know, maybe 12 years ago. So this will help to tie in the dormers to the old house. We're also treating the windows at the garage with shutters on each side. And we also have added this little roof here over the entry to the garage. Now this addition has been designed with the idea in mind that the garage doors would be on the side of the garage, so would not be facing the street. Now, the idea was to try to make sure that the garage was concealed from view from the street. This is our north elevation, just showing a couple of one change that we made, and that is if you look at the upper second floor, we added this little dormer here, which matches the old house. And this is the existing elevation without the addition down below. This is our east elevation, and it's showing just the back of the house. And we have a 4-foot deep addition that we pulled out in the back. It's not a very deep addition, but it does allow us to make the kitchen, the area, the spaces behind it more usable, especially a bedroom on the second floor. And all the details of the addition tie in with the existing house with a frieze board, with dental molding, hipped roof, same roof shingles to match existing. Down below is existing without the addition and without the brick texture on it. This is our south elevation. This is showing our new garage doors. This is on the side of the house facing south. And you'll see up above, there are 2 new dormers that are equally spaced, and they match the one that's already there. So even the roof, the ridge is actually the same height as the existing ridge. All we're doing is trying to replicate and extend the original lower roofed piece of the house. And down below, you'll see what exists now. This lower roof place piece, which is now the family room. We've also made changes to the fence. We decided to, instead of a white painted wood fence, we decided to do a black wrought iron fence. And these are elevations showing the fence on the side to the north of the house. Once we get around to the aqueduct side, it shows the fence going in between shrubbery. And then on the north side, it also shows the piece of fence that's going between shrubbery. We have a very detailed landscaping plan that shows the fence between shrubbery when it goes into the aqueduct buffer to soften it and make it look more wooded and more natural. We also have a couple of blow-ups of our fence here on the left. This is an example of a fence in the river towns, the type of fence we'd like to use. And here's a drawing of the fence. To the right is the existing deer fence that happens to be on the back of the house near the aqueduct. Also, we were asked to look at 3D views, so we provided a 3D rendering. This rendering is taken from the viewpoint of somebody walking along Hancock Place, looking up at the house. And you'll see this is the main house. This is the front entrance. To the left, a two-story white paneled piece of the house, and to the right is our new addition. We also gave you another rendering, this one, because we removed the tree so you could see what the addition would look like. This would this should help you visualize how it fits in with the original house, what the massing is. And you know, this lower roof area is meant to be like a extension of that original house in the same style as existing, with the double hung 6/6 pattern windows with the wood paneled shutters. We have the same dormer with these pilasters on each side of casements to match the dormer on the other side of the house. We have smaller dormers on each side, and we have a little entry roof over the entrance to the garage. This is the view that exists from the street. This is the same view. We actually took this from Google Earth, and we also took our own photos, but this one from Google Earth because it was from the street, and we use the same image for our rendering. We just put our new SketchUp rendering on top of this site. So this is after, and this is before. And we didn't submit this, but I brought it tonight just so you could get an idea of how important the roof lines were to us as architects. We wanted very much to make the addition feel like it was part of the original house. So we looked at hipped roofs. If you look to the right where my cursor is, there are two small existing dormers, and what we did is we replicated those. So we added two on the south and one on the north, and the larger dormer in front matches the one on the other side of the house. So the idea was that this pattern of hipped roofs and dormers would be repeated in the proposed design. Now, I have this page up because just for your information, we did a comparison of other houses in the property. We did this as a requirement for the planning board review process. And this is just a quick study to show how just the footprint of this, of 2 Hancock, and how it compares with the other houses. And the footprint, not the floor area, although we do also have the floor area comparison, but the footprint is within the range of the footprints of the existing houses around it. The proposed is 2,939, and what's existing goes from 2,111 up to 3,818. We also have provided some photographs of other properties that have 2-car garages. One of the comments was that the 2-car garage was not a common element or feature in the neighborhood, but indeed it actually is quite common. At 1 Hancock, there's an attached 2-car garage. 49 Ardsley Avenue West, attached 2-car garage. At 50 Ardsley Avenue West, another attached 2-car garage. Also, in response to the comment of driveways intersecting Hancock, there was a comment about how there should not be a driveway, or maybe not too, there aren't too many, but indeed there are quite a few. So I wanted to show you that one, Hancock has a main driveway and a circular driveway, actually has, I think, 3 curb cuts. We have 9 Hancock, has 2 curb cuts and a driveway. 10 Hancock, 2 curb cuts and a driveway. 11 Hancock, very similar. 8 Hancock and 3 Hudson Road West. These all had driveways on Hancock Place. And also we decided to give you some information on the fences in the area. There are quite a few white painted fences, but actually we decided not to do the white painted fence in response to the concern. It was a strong element, so we've made it a black wrought iron fence, which is actually the type of fence our client prefers. And just to show, there's quite a few fences along the aqueduct as well. We might have shown you this last time. There are some comments about the light fixtures. On the left side of this slide is the existing light fixture at the old driveway. That's showing that long driveway that exists now along the aqueduct. And we're going to relocate that post to the new driveway. And these are just some of the light fixtures that exist. And we're going to put new light fixtures that are very similar on the addition. And this is a sample of the type of brick that's on the house that we plan to match. We're matching the brick in pattern and color and sill detail. I also have some of the sections through the building, just in case you would like to see them. They happen to be in the submission. And these are some of the original photographs that we submitted that show the existing house, and photographs of some neighboring properties. And this is just some of our demolition plans, because it was just in case you need to see them. So I'm going to end with this here, and I wanted to have the attorney speak to you as well tonight. Lino? No. Sorry, I'm just trying to get a text in case there's some kind of cross wires. We have to ask Lino to come into the meeting.
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Thank you.
Okay, Lino, yeah, there you go.
How are you? Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, Christina, thank you for the presentation. Everyone, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Lino Shiretta, partner with the firm Montalbano, Condon and Frank on behalf of Takashi and Kiko Okamura. I got booted the last few minutes of Christina's presentation, but really my sole purpose is tonight is just to provide just a quick overview of this application, just by way of procedure. The planning board and the zoning board both approved this application after several public hearings. I know the planning board back on March 4th, 2020 approved final site plan approval after having this application for 3 public hearings starting on December 4th, continuing on January 8th, and then concluding on March 4th. And during that time, there was a considerable back and forth, and Christina and Josefa can also chime in on this, with respect to dealing with and consulting with the village's arborist, our arborist, the recommendations on the landscape plan. And there was a lot of time spent with respect to those issues, and that we felt we addressed and were dealt with quite completely at the planning board level. We also received the area variances from the zoning board back on January 28th. And I just wanted to state, just for the record, because I know we received comments, and I know, Mr. Chairman, you've received my letters and the board, so I'm not going to go and spend time rehashing those. But all these dates, because I know there was some public commentary that some of these dates were during the COVID and why we having meetings, but this application was all approved as to its size, its bulk, its area, its footprint, its trees, landscape plan, all prior to the COVID shutdown, if you will. And then fortunately, the governor did allow municipalities to continue public meetings by way of remote and virtual meetings, which allowed those who have business with the village to continue that business. So again, these letters are on the record. I did receive a letter from a council today, which I did respond. And again, without going further into that, if the board has any questions, I will address it, but I believe you have my letter with respect to some of the representations made with respect to the executive order. And also we took exception to, particularly my client Takashi Nikiko, that things were done somehow, they snuck things in. Well, this application, again, having been through several public hearings, nothing was snuck in. Everything was discussed, it was vetted, there were reports back and forth. And the reason why it took as long as it did at the planning board, because we wanted to make sure, especially with the arborist, that that report was complete and that we basically included those recommendations in our final approval. Again, I also state and state the dates for the record, because in the letters that I did receive for some of the opposition, there were comments made that neighbors were just reading the arborist report, and that those letters were dated as recently as June 19th. And I submit to you that that information has been available since February. So again, the board has seen my letter. Again, this is the ARB with respect to the size, bulk, area. There were comments about massing and bulk. That's all been addressed. I think Christina addressed the concerns that were last brought to her and the applicant at the last ARB meeting, which is back on April 27th. So again, we are here tonight with hopefully that the board would approve this application so that Takashi and Akiko can finally get their addition to their home. Okay. Thank you very much. And we're here for any questions that the board may have. Thank you for your time.
Are there any board questions for Mr. Ciaretta?
I don't have a question, but I do have comments to what he said.
All right. Well, let's address the application first. Then we can go back to the other side and address issues and questions that may come up in the application review. Anybody want to start with the review of the application?
Mine is in the review of the application. It's just a question. Was this whole package submitted? It seems like we have some new information tonight as compared to what was in the package. It's to you, Christina. You're muted. Yeah.
At the request of the ARB, we submitted the renderings, I think, a few days ago. So you should have received those. I just brought this aerial view, this 3D view tonight, because I thought it might help you see how we designed the addition and how the roof lines tie in. I did not submit this page. But I think all the rest has been submitted previously.
I think with the exception of that roof drawing,
Okay.
I've seen most of it.
Was it posted, Rick, was it posted to the view file? Because that's what I was pulling down. I guess
But you have to go into revisions.
Revisions, okay.
There were actually two different revisions in the revisions folder.
Yep, got it. Okay.
And what I recall in that folder is what we just saw, with the exception of, like I said, that roof line.
Great. Okay. I'll come back with comments.
Okay.
Later. Yep. I defer to Deborah.
Christina, one of the questions I had was just as a follow-up to our last meeting. I think one of the architects had commented why you went with the brick as opposed to clapboard or some other material on the garage. And I see that you've stuck with the brick. I believe our concerns and comments last time we were concerned about matching that brick in color and now being on a Zoom call as opposed to seeing materials in person, that was going to present a challenge to us. Can you just go over a little bit of your thinking as to why you stuck with the original design?
Yes.
In terms of the treatment of that garage?
Yes, because, you know, the house already has white paneled wood on the left side. And I designed that addition, and I felt the house, I didn't think that, I thought it would be challenging to match the brick, and thought maybe we'd try to do something very different. But we felt that this addition, because it's an extension of the hipped roof, especially on the south side, and I'll jump to that very quickly, because maybe you'll understand, just to show you why we decided that. But on the south elevation where the garage door is, sorry, just a minute. Okay, see this elevation here, south elevation? The addition, the wall of the addition lines up with the existing wall here where my cursor is, and there's one single dormer on top. And we have taken that hipped roof, and all we've done is extended it, and we've matched that facet of that roof angle, and then we've added these two dormers. And because this is lined up, we wanted to continue that brick material, so it comes around the side, the front of the house. And I also felt that the house seemed to be more balanced, having more of the brick rather than another white addition. That's like an exception to the rule. So we tried to very seriously match the original house in every way possible. You know, I think I have enough experience now to know how to hunt for these materials, and it is our intention to make sure that the brick will match what's there. And we'll do a mock-up on site to make sure.
Okay. Another comment I thought was raised last time was if the two-car garage was your client's intention and they were not willing to make it a one-car garage, that would you consider not adding the bedroom on top, again, to bring the scale of that new addition down in size? Had you talked to your client about that, and what was the reason?
Yes, we did. We discussed it. And it's like almost like a reducing the value of the house because it already has a two-car garage. And that, if I go back to the plan, just so you can see, if we take away one of the cars and make it a one-car garage, then you're kind of reducing the value of the house, one. Two, I did look at lowering this roof and changing it, and I actually felt that it was becoming too many elements, too many shapes. We already have this lower roof line here, so extending it and matching it, especially on the south side and bringing it around, felt like more natural than having something entirely different and lower and different material like clapboard. You know, I know there are a lot of these, like a lot of the older homes, they have a telescoping effect over time sometimes, and the additions sometimes mix clapboard with brick. But we already have the white paneling on the left side, and I think that should be an exception. And the rule for the majority of the house should be this weathered whitewashed brick. That's a weathered whitewash on the brick, on a red brick.
That's all for now for me.
Yeah, just to add to that comment, Christina, we also looked at the fact that there are neighbors also the neighborhood that have two-car garages already with respect to just by way of comparison.
Any other comments from other board members?
Yeah, I'd like to make my comments on a couple of elements. Can you go to the fence page, please, Christina? And what's the height of the fence in this scenario? It's not marked on here.
Oh dear. We might have it in a note on the site plan, but it's supposed to be 6 feet because it's to make the yard deer-proof. Now, it's one of the most important goals of our client is to have a usable yard, and right now, there is such an invasion of deer and joggers that, well, especially to keep the deer out, you need 6 feet. That's why it's the height it is.
It's actually on the, is it 6 or 6'6"? It's 6?
I thought it was 6. The photograph that's on this page to the left is showing a 6-foot fence, by the way. And if that helps at all, but I think my intention to show. We've looked at so many options, so it's possible that we have something that says 6'6", but it should
Yeah,
be.
the site plan says still has the wood 6'6".
That's what I was reading too. 6'6" wood fence
Yeah, page 6.
You mean on the landscaping plan?
Yeah.
on the papers you submitted. Mhm.
The landscaping plan is the plan that was approved by the planning board, and we haven't changed any notes yet on that plan.
Yeah, well, just to go back, I don't think it's a 6'6" wrought iron fence is something that we only see in great detail at sort of big perimeters, like against Broadway or up at the biggest of estates. This fence seems still far too extensive and grand for what it's supposed to be doing. And the deer are with us everywhere, and we understand that, and that having a deer fence around your yard is fine. We understand that too. But this is creating a pen of proportion I haven't seen anywhere else, especially in Ardsley Park, when we think of its homesteading goals of a shared public realm. And suddenly this is now completely blocked from, as you're walking up Hancock and as you're walking down Hudson, it's like another entity completely. Even the property that's just to the west of here has pulled back the fence and limited it to a very small area. This just seems so large and intrusive on such a property, especially when you have the opportunity. If you can go to, stop. Especially if you have the opportunity, I might, sorry. And is one, you have multiple, now that you've made a beautiful yard back here, and you even have the potential to sort of go a little bit further with it, this sort of extent seems excessive, especially when we think about all of the houses that have this kind of public realm that wraps around all the way down the block, and to a greater or lesser extent the other ones on Hancock, where the buildings are set back and there's common lawn area for everybody. So when we get to Ardsley and we're coming down, we now have a huge hedge element, and all for the sake of us. Yes, of course.
I think it might be valuable to look. Can anyone hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Who are you?
I think it's valuable to look at the photos of the neighbors. I'm the one who went and photographed it, and most of the fences are well over 6 feet on most of the properties on Hancock. If you look, Christina, could you flip to the page on fences? I think
Who's
6
talking?
foot is the norm, not the
Who's talking,
exception.
please?
Can you identify yourself, please?
I'm sorry, my name is Josepha. I'm a project designer on this. I work at Christina Griffin,
Okay.
architect. And this, all the way, yeah. One back. Not that one, there you go. Right across the street, there's a fence that's, I
Set
believe,
well
6
back
feet.
from the street line
As is,
and limited to the length of the house. It's not to 100 feet in length.
turns the lane, it turns the corner. That's why I showed 2 photographs. It goes
We
along
know it.
Hancock and then it,
We're very familiar with the fence because we approved it.
Okay. I'd like to just explain, if you don't mind, the ideas behind this site plan, the landscaping plan, because a lot of thought has been put into how to create not just a yard, but how do you buffer this so that it also is very natural looking from the viewpoint of somebody walking down the aqueduct and down Ardsley Avenue. If you look at the shape of the area enclosed by the fence, it's still probably less than half of the property. And I am aware that this is very park-like and there's like a public area to the yard. I mean, right now there's a public area all around the house. So this area, but this is the area that we put the fence on. We discussed, we have pulled it back from the property line, I think about 5 feet. And this was approved and discussed by the planning board at 3 meetings.
They're not architects, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. And honestly,
Can I just address that for just a moment as to the fence? Because
This is not a defense, we're not on trial, we're having a discussion.
No, but I just want to clarify because again, the planning board approved the location of the fence with respect to materials.
I can make my objections and say them all day long, but I understand that. I'm well aware of what they approved.
Okay.
It
Again, I just want to make sure.
It was not reviewed with the ARB, which is a little bit out of sequence.
yeah, it's also misleading to say that the planning board approved the fence. The fence cannot be approved by the planning board. And if that is a mistake, then we need that clarified by the chair, and we might as well just move on to the next application. Because as far as I'm concerned, I wholeheartedly agree with what Ken Lewis just said, that the fence that you have selected for this neighborhood is completely inappropriate in terms of what in height, scale, and size. I find it hard to believe that you're here before us tonight asking us to approve the material and the color. We're looking at the location. If we're not looking at the location, then then I need to hear that now from the chair, because that is completely contrary to what I understand our charge is.
To the best of my knowledge, our charge is to pass judgment on the fence. All aspects.
Okay, well, I guess since a lot of attention and discussion was about it, I guess I might have assumed that the location was approved. But in any case, I just wanted you to know the thought process, because this fence along Ardsley Avenue and the aqueduct is in between shrubbery to soften it, and we could perhaps also add more shrubbery facing Hancock Place. But I am aware of the public area, this very beautiful yard and the big trees, very park-like. In fact, we designed the paths and the driveway with a curve. We made sure that the cars were tucked in on the side of the driveway. And, you know, we know there's a very large tree in front, and we even curved the driveway we were hoping to save the other large tree. And we have an arborist report, it's like 16 pages long, to examine all these trees. And not until we actually exhausted all the possibilities of saving this tree did we decide, based on the arborist's advice, that this tree would have to be taken out. But all the curves that we have in the plan are to make it look bucolic, very natural, and very soft. But we'd be happy, you know, we could even soften this fence facing Hancock. But the ideas behind the size of the yard was just to have, they have a young child, and they just want some space for the kids to play.
Yeah, that's well and good, but quite frankly, this is frustrating, because last time you were before us, we specifically talked about the view of this house and your choices from the view of standing at Hancock Place, not from the aqueduct. We understand what the planning board did. We know how important the view from the aqueduct was in terms of landscaping and selecting the right vegetation, as well as the fence. But we're still looking at a 6'6" wrought iron fence standing from the view of Hancock. So if we can just focus on what we're trying to focus on, it would be really helpful.
Can I just interrupt for a moment with respect to go back to the fence? I mean, having served as village attorney in the village of Irvington for a number of years, we used to always have the planning board, and I'm looking at the code right now in chapter 9 of the Board of Architectural Review, and I will submit that there is nothing in there with respect to fencing. Location historically was approved by the planning board, and quite frankly, when it came to material, and whether it was a stockade fence, whether it was a wrought iron fence, I agree with you, the planning board, the ARB ruled on that. But the location, the fence, and you go back to the minutes, was discussed at the planning board. So, and again, I'm looking at your code, which again, I am familiar with, and there's nothing in the code that talks about the location of structures. It talks about the exterior appearance, it talks about exterior materials, but nowhere are you charged or is it within your purview Okay, with all due respect, after viewing your code and having worked with it for many
Sorry,
years.
we have a right to look at the nature of the community as well as the planning board. So please don't try and.
But you're not the planning board, you're the ARB.
No. As much, we are supposed to speak to the community design, to the quality of the community, and it's right there in the first paragraphs. So you're picking and choosing what it is.
But with all due respect, you're also not looking at the rest of the statute. So again, going back historically, when you look at.
I think we have to move on from this.
You obviously know what it is you know about the law, and you know what your resolve is if in fact you don't get the result you want from this particular application.
And just another point, Mr. Chairman, fences in the code, in the Village of Irvington Code, are deemed structures. And they're deemed a building. A building per your code is a building pursuant to. That's
we need
in your
to move
code.
on, Rick. We're getting a lecture now, and that's not what we're here to do.
Right.
Well, it's
Okay.
not a lecture. I'm just telling you what your code
It's
is
a lecture.
and what your
You're not
purview is.
listening. We know what our purview is.
Okay. Any other questions for the architect on the application?
No, but I do want to be very clear that I find that the fence as designed is not compatible with the character of the neighborhood. I find it's actually detrimental to the desirability, property values, and the surrounding area. It is not in keeping with Hancock Place. It is not a harmonious design. I believe even that we haven't even moved on to the landscape design, but if we're going to leave it at the fence, I want to be very clear in terms of what our charge is and what Chapter 9 provides for us to look at, that the fence that I would not approve. So we can either, as you say, move on, but if we can't make a decision as to the fence, I just ask you as chair, Rick, what the best approach is. Do we not take a vote and we go back to legal, or would the applicant like us to vote now? Because there's really no need to move on, because the fence is obviously an important piece of this application.
Well, what is the ARB recommending for the fence? Are they what is their recommendation with respect to the fence? Because I know you recited the section 9.1. Again, I don't see any evidence of impairment of property values in this record, but I'd just like to know from the ARB's perspective, what is it that they are proposing in terms of an alternative?
It's really not the charge of the ARB to come up with that recommendation. If we say we don't think that this is appropriate, it's incumbent upon the architect to revise it, or not.
But specifically, what is it that is it the location of the fence, or I just want some clarification?
Sure, I can give you clarifications. Let me just back up. So in terms of, let's go with height, too tall, scale, too tall, size, too big, design, not in keeping with the neighborhood, setback, I don't like the location of it either. I think that other fences, and if you look at other houses in this neighborhood, that the architect could do better in keeping it with what other houses do. I think that the examples that you use in terms of what fences you've given us, I think they're misleading. I think that many of the fences you have selected are on Ardsley Avenue West, which we have acknowledged in the past that we're more flexible with the fence in terms of height or size because of the speed and the volume of traffic on Ardsley Avenue West in particular. But if you want to show us fences on Hancock, and we can go through them one by one, I'll show you why the fence that's been presented in this design is not in keeping with the neighborhood, and some of the other fences you've selected are.
Okay, again, another question. I mean, you said you're talking about the fence, the height, and being the size, but again, your code permits those types of fences as a building structure in your code. So again, I'm having a hard time just understanding why is it that this particular fence, which is to code.
We're not a lawyer to understand. I understand that.
So why is it that, and then why is the white fence that was approved on 1 Hancock, how was that approved? And can you?
I can't speak to 1 Hancock because we didn't approve it. And we've said before, if you attended any of our meetings, just because you have one bad design and one approval in the past doesn't mean we're going to continue bad designs and bad approvals going forward. So I can't speak to 1 Hancock. Wasn't our approval. But anyway, I think there's other applicants waiting, Rick. So I'd like some clarification. If the fence is what's going to hold us up, it sounds like we need legal opinion on this. I say we move on to the next application.
Well, it's up to the applicant to tell us whether they want a vote on the application now, or they are willing to wait for the next meeting until we get legal clarification as to actually what seems like a number of issues.
Yeah, well, with all due respect, Mr. Chairman, I think, we were here well, I was not here, but I know our team was at the last meeting at the ARB. I believe we addressed what we needed to address with respect to the architectural elements of this plan. So at this point, I don't know what another meeting gets us at this point. Again, we have an approved plan. The fence is approved. We understand about the elements of the fence, but in terms of the side height,
You can say it all day.
yep, but in terms of it's the structure in your code, it's a building. So that being said, if the fence is the issue, then I don't think it makes sense at this point. I'd just rather have a vote this evening so we could proceed to the next step.
Okay, anybody else have any other questions or issues for the application?
No, I mean, if you want us to take a vote, it sounds like we're taking a vote as to the fence. So I'm happy.
No,
to-
it's not to the fence, it's to the entire application. We have an application.
Okay, it's not there.
But you're making. a
You're-
decision
Please
that-
stop characterizing what we're doing.
Yeah. You know what? I think it's time we've heard enough from Mrs. Ciaretti at this point.
Well, then I'd like the votes of the application this evening, Mr.
You're not
Chairman.
in a position to request a vote.
And
Is
I'd
Miss-
like to know, is there any way you can vote on the building, on the house, separate from the fence?
It's all one application. I can't break it up.
I see.
So either we take a vote tonight, or we wait until the next meeting and you have a better chance of ironing out all the other issues.
again, I will, go ahead.
I just want to say that I certainly wasn't trying to mislead the board at all. We were looking around at other examples of fences. And I understand what you're saying, but a lot of times aesthetics and functions don't have a perfect balance. And the reason for the height was really because the deer, and we had looked at a white fence, painted fence, a different style last time. And we thought maybe this would have less of an impact. In fact, I don't know if it's easy for you to see, but on the rendering, we did show the black fence. Sorry, let's see if I can find it. On the left side, the fence is tucked in all the way up here. It's a few feet away from the corner of the house. So it's not like, just to make sure we're clear, that the fence is coming any much further than the front facade of the house. So we understand and we do appreciate the beauty of this sloping grade and the trees in the front. So we only put the fence here because of the size of the yard we were trying to have, which is just enough for kids to run. And we were sensitive to the fact that we don't want to put fence around this whole property. And most of the fence actually on Ardsley Avenue West has shrubbery in front of it on the site plan. And we could also add shrubbery in front of this fence so that it kind of peaks up above that shrubbery. So it looks less, you notice it less. Let me see if I can show you a picture of what we did. Oh, well, on the landscape plan, you see the shrubbery here. We could add shrubbery here because when you do that, you will notice less of the fence, and it will help give you some green buffer.
But this is what is before us tonight, is this, you are before us with a particular fence at a particular height with particular landscaping in order to make it in keeping with this neighborhood. I'm still struggling to find on this application where exactly those details are for this for right now, for what we're supposed to be. What are we approving, Rick? What is before us? That's what I'm looking for.
Well, it appears that it's the cast iron fence that's on the very end of the application at this point, that's been added to the, you passed it. The proposed black iron, wrought iron fence There's no brand, there's no model, if there's in fact a style, or there's no other details, specific details as to what on the gate, how big the gate is, whether the gate is in fact scalloped at the top like that is. You know, there's a number of issues with
Well-
reference to the fencing that we don't have.
And landscaping that it sounds like is something that we're supposed to assume is going to be done. I don't see that in the presentation either. Again, from the view of Hancock looking at the fence.
I'm just trying to find out, I'm just trying to understand your comments and think about the future, because I'm just saying we could provide that information, especially if we know, especially like a wrought iron fence, if that's a possibility. If it's a size, that's something we can look at to see if we can have a green buffer. But if it's the material, I mean, of course we can add all that information in lots of detail, sizes of the pickets and fence. But I'd kind of like to know if this is a material you consider. We thought that it has more transparency, so it wouldn't be such a strong visual element. And if we add information to our drawings to show the shrubbery and show show all the details of the fence, it might help you soften it, especially, I meant the shrubbery, So, I kind of would just like to know the comments from the board about this material and this style so that we know where to go from here.
Deb?
Well, I personally feel like we're in a conflict because the lawyer representing this applicant is saying that this isn't within our purview at all.
Pay no attention to that.
Let me ask you this. What if we remove the fence? What about the rest of the application?
Anybody who had other issues with the application?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's if there are other issues?
What are the other issues?
Well, we acknowledge that the footprint of the garage is what's there, and that seems to be a pressure point. I still think our recommendation to make the additions, which are all additions, are wood of one sort or another, maintain that materiality, and that the height of the bulk is still high, though I have to say the rendering seems to be making it smaller. It appears smaller than what we somehow imagine. I also think the rendering doesn't show the landscaping that's around it. Is that right, Christina? There's a lot of, you did a lot of landscaping to hide its bulk. That's not a criticism, that's just part of your strategy.
Well, we took away the landscaping.
No,
so
I know,
that,
I understand that, but in the previous one where the landscape is there, I don't even think you show the landscaping that's
That's the
designed.
existing landscaping.
Yeah, I know. But you did a job, you did have landscaping that's similar in scale to what's under your mouse right now, that area to the left of the.
That's existing.
Right, but can you go to your landscaping plan? I'm trying
Yes.
to help. So can you zoom in on the garage? So can you just describe the landscaping, the scale, the trees and elements in front of the garage? Yeah.
I have to refer to the legend, but
Here, let me use my mouse and show. You showed this here is what you see in the photograph, correct?
yes.
Is this similar scale here and here? By the way, this doesn't show this. Is that where the entrance is here?
Yes.
Yeah, I think she said that the roof wasn't on the elevations.
This little roof is blocked on the elevation by the front entrance when you look
Yeah,
in.
no, I'm not. I'm only speaking about the landscaping now. I understand that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of the plants here are overgrown on the left side of the entry, so we might be changing it. it's just all way too large. But a lot of the shrubbery that is there is going to be something similar to what we're putting here. So
we
they're
don't, do we have that?
small and larger shrubs.
So Christina, I don't think we can honestly can approve it unless you show us that sort of, you have a strategy, right, for dealing with the bulk there by putting the landscaping around it, right? I think that's one of your strategies. I still think that you may look at this one more time at the top and see if you can do some wood in this piece. I'm not sure that the dorms do what you hoped it to do, but I do acknowledge that it's not just a broad hip roof that you're putting up there. And I think it is somewhat of an improvement, though. Again, it's sort of pushing its nose out even a little bit more. And I would say it would be helpful if we could, if the next time, if there is a next time, that you do show us the model and move around the model instead of just three-dimensional imagery, if that's possible. That will help us, since we can't see a model.
We can bring a 3D model. We can do that. We can show the shrubbery that we have specified here on that model.
Right.
Okay, anything else?
No, I will add, again, yes, I have concerns about the fence. I do have concerns about the mass of this garage as indicated in our last meeting. I appreciate some of the small changes that have been made in order to address some of our concern, but we're still left with, I think, one of the more involved projects that the ARB has looked at and been presented with in quite some time. And we're attempting to do this by Zoom, which is challenging, both because of the rendering and the materials not being present. And again, hearing that there's landscaping in the design, but not seeing the landscaping that's being presented, seeing a 3D rendering that is helpful, but it doesn't have the driveway. It maybe doesn't have exactly what we're looking for. So yeah, I feel like this application, there's still elements other than the fence. I just want to be clear that I have concerns about and plan to review if and when this application comes back to us.
So just so I'm clear, other than the fence, I've heard Mr. Lewis talk about landscaping and scale. Ms. Hargrave, you spoke about, again, you said something about the garage. Is it the scale of the garage? I didn't hear it.
Yeah, at our last meeting, we had raised with the architect again that we felt that considering the mass of this project, the number of square feet that is being added, the fact that you're moving the garage from the back of the house to the front of the house, that we were concerned about the overall mass and scale of this project on Hancock Place. It's a corner property. It's a beautifully historic street with specimen trees. And you couple that with trees that are coming down and adding a driveway and a curb cut to Hancock Place. This is a project that I think takes time and thoughtful review by the ARB.
And again, I just want to be very clear. We keep going to discussions about massing and size, and again, that's all been approved. So other than the fence and what we talked about, anything else?
Statement approved, not by this board, please.
The footprint has been approved. The mass is another issue. If we can reduce mass without changing the footprint, that would be a prescribed goal. But at this point, I don't know whether we talked about pushing the garage into the house, meaning that box into the house, and we know we came up against the kitchen that's in that area. But I spoke to council today, and mass is,
FAR.
No, mass is
right,
not.
This is FAR, bulk.
No.
But go ahead, Mr. Chairman, sorry.
Yeah, we're looking at the visual impact that this particular house on Hancock has to the neighboring properties and the surrounding area. And we're looking at its appearance and its relationship to the surrounding area. That is our understanding of something that is well within our purview.
Right, but under your code, under 224-134, it's clearly mass and bulk is a planning board issue. So again, I just wanted to I mean, you can speak to your counsel about it, but you know, if what I'm hearing about changing the massing and that includes redesigning this, is that what I'm hearing, that this board wants us to redesign this plan?
Rick, can we move on?
That's up to the architect.
Yeah.
How she achieves, you know, what we're looking for.
You know, I have, you know, the 3D rendering was very helpful for us, and we can show you the full rendering because it really does help us to understand how you can soften bulk with architectural elements. And that's why we actually took some effort to take a look at the dormers and the shape of the roof. And we can show you other views of this. And even this little roof over that entrance really adds a lot of visual interest and softens this shape. This does not show the new landscaping, but we can work on that and show you that. So we are, you know, it is, we would like this design to feel like it's always been there. It's harmonious, it's part of the original house in every way. And we can show you more views because the yard is so huge that even though we're coming out with a garage addition, a 2-car garage, there's still a lot of property left, and it's tucked way back from the edge of the street.
Are there changes to the drawings that you can make, Christina, so we can review in 2 weeks for our session that we look at the drawings and pass along comments, and then you'd be able to see our comments before the next meeting and perhaps fine-tune the drawing at that point?
That would be helpful. That would move it along. That'd be terrific.
Okay.
That would be helpful.
And you'd need the revised drawings by when?
I don't have my calendar. Oh, wait, I do. Hold on. The 13th. July 13th.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure which way the client and Lino is representing our clients would like to go on this, but
I would suggest if we can do that, Mr. Chairman, because I know you have a busy evening, submit and we can get some comments from you. That would be helpful prior to the next, and if we can continue this to the next meeting. Do we know that date?
The next meeting is the 27th of July.
Okay, so if we can make the 7/13 review meeting and get on and be placed on the agenda for that July meeting, that would be helpful.
It would be, well, we'll review the changes on the 13th, so you'd have to get it into the building department the week before, sometime during the week before. You could speak to the building department and have them give you the exact date that they need to see it in order to be able to post it by the 13th.
And that's what we'll do.
Okay.
Rick, Ed Marin.
Yeah.
The deadline is the first Monday of the month.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Marin.
thank you. Thank you for comments.
Okay.
And Rick, you have a member of the audience with their hand up. I'm not sure how you want to handle that.
Is it what?
Kristen Wilson.
Okay. Is that person in?
Hi, can you hear me now? I think I might have gotten booted out. Okay. Good evening, Chairman and members of the Board of Architectural Review. I'm here tonight for the first time representing the property owners directly surrounding this application. I submitted a letter earlier to you, and I hope that you have received it. The thrust of my letter was really to ask you to delay or continue the public hearing until we can meet in person I think the comments for the last hour only support that request, given the interest by the neighbors, but also the fact that it's hard to see a 3D rendering on Zoom. It's hard to figure out exactly where the architect is pointing. It's hard to visualize all these impacts that have been raised by the board members and which the architect is trying to address. So these are unprecedented times. This is a very important application, important piece of property to the neighborhood. And given the lack of access to really understand the impacts, and given the lack of urgency by the applicant, a 6-month process to go through 3 boards is very fast. Applications this large and of this magnitude sometimes take several years, but what we're asking is that you consider waiting until perhaps even July, when the meetings may be in person then, but if not, waiting until the interested parties, those that are directly impacted, could come in and stand in front of these renderings and ask questions of the architect and of the board.
Well,
also, one other point that I raised in the letter, which is particularly concerning, is the conversation the applicant had with one of my clients regarding the very large tulip tree that will have to be removed right now based on the design of the driveway. And it's unfortunate that my client relied on those oral representations, and the plans, my understanding is that the plans were modified to keep the tree, and then without notification to my client, the plans were revised yet again, and the tree is now being removed, the tulip tree that actually is partially, I think, on my client's property.
Ms. Wilson, let me interrupt a second, because the change of that tree was done before the 3rd public hearing. So there was an opportunity at the public hearing in March to argue against it. So, and from what I understand, that's a planning board issue. That's not in the purview of the Architecture Review Board at this point. That's already an issue that's been decided. So while I will speak to the village attorney about how to go forward from a standpoint of when and where we'll meet to resolve this, I'll let the village attorney tell me what in the village's best interest to get this issue done. This has been going on since, obviously, before December. That was the first public hearing. So while it may not seem like a long time to you, I'm sure the Okamuras would beg to differ at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to raise one other specific point that some of your board members raised, and that's with respect to the 2-car garage versus 1-car garage. And I'm curious to know whether or not, if it was a 1-car garage, if the driveway could simply be redesigned and the curvature of it could be reset to avoid the tulip tree in its entirety, or some type of modification to preserve that tree. One of my clients did raise the objection regarding the tree back in January, and for good reason. He thought it was addressed, and plans changed unbeknownst to him. There was no need for him to think twice about the applicant going back on their word, and they did. And that is unfortunate. And I think that needs to be taken into account at this point in time, when the preservation of the tree actually dovetails quite interestingly with the board's comments on wanting a smaller scale, having density in the mass being reduced. I think that is within your purview to little questions to be asked. And had the applicant not changed its design, that tulip tree would still be preserved.
Well, as I said, that was in the purview of the building department, the planning board, and the planning board works directly with the landscape architect. Once again, that decision has been made. It's been approved, and at this point, there's nothing that the Architecture Review Board can do to change that. I'm not saying that the village board or another aspect of the village government would be able to put a halt on what it is that that you're referring to. But at this point, it's not something that's in the purview of the ARB because it has already been decided by another board.
Well, I certainly made the record I needed to with respect to that concern where the applicant changed the plans after there was a reconciliation of the issue between my client and the applicant. So at this point, I would just ask that you seek counsel with respect to pursuing the Zoom meetings, given the magnitude of this application and the public interest.
That will be
okay.
done.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just real quick, Mr. Chairman, to address that issue, and thank you for highlighting the fact about the approval with the tree. But my client takes exception to the comment that this was done and snuck in. Everyone was aware of this, including Ms. Wilson's client, about this tree. So there were no agreements made. This was all done in public in consultation with the village and our applicant arborist. So there's no issue here with respect to, and again, I reject the representation made by counsel that somehow my client went back on some agreed upon deal, which is not the case. So I just want to make that clear for the record. It's all in public.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. We need to move on to the next application.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, just give me a second here. Just
Sure.
Okay. Next application, Rick, if you want to.
Yeah, it's a continuation, also 20-25, 14 Bertha Place, also an addition.
Okay. All right, and the representative, is that Mike Martorelli? I see that has a hand up. Is that the representative?
I don't know off the top of my head. I have nothing
Yeah.
with paperwork.
Okay. All right, let me try. Okay.
Hey, that's me.
There you go. Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Cool. Mike Martorelli from Michael Lewis Architects. I promise there will be no lawyers involved in my part of the presentation.
Stein.
Shame.
So since the last time we met, we took the board's comments into consideration. Let me pull up our drawings here 1 second. And the main comment was on this trellis area over here. So since then, we have significantly scaled it back. It only extends out from the wall about 3 feet now, and it's much smaller scale.
And you've also included a copy of the chandelier that's going to be, or whatever you want to call that, that's going to be in there?
Correct.
Was it, Ken, were you the one who had questions about the trellis? Did we lose Ken?
Yeah. Yep, that was it. Can you zoom in?
Sure. And I can go to the SketchUp model if that helps you guys visualize anything.
Yeah, that was more clear for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot cleaner. Thank you.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and in the other part of the sketch, it shows where that trellis is in line with the front beam.
Yep.
As you're looking at it from the front.
Right.
Okay. Any questions, issues?
No.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the application?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mike. Yep.
Take care.
Yep. All right. Now we go on to new applications. The first one is ARB 20-27, 53 Field Terrace, windows, amongst other things.
Okay, hold on one second.
Hey guys,
Oh, look who it is.
nice to see you again.
Same here.
How's everybody doing?
All right.
Good.
All right. What do we got?
So this is a new application for new clients, Allison Bear and Raul Marquez, who are moving into this property at 53 Field Terrace. The bulk of the project is minor exterior renovations and a lot of interior renovations. The bulk of which on the exterior is change of window type and color and brand new paint job, plus or minus. So let me pull up our drawings and I'll give you the latest.
Yep.
So 2 seconds. Let me, where's my screen share?
Okay.
All right. So, oops, wrong screen.
Wow, Irvington.
Yeah, there you go. So you can see the cover here, correct? With the photos, just making sure we're on the right page. So as you can see right now, this is a pretty dark colored existing Tudor with an existing brick base that runs around the front side of the facade. It doesn't continue all the way around the building. The back of the building, as you can see here, is just stucco with faux beams. The client's desire is to lighten the color of the facade and change the existing wood windows that were old Anderson Wood Series windows, casements with a very cheap, pardon the word cheap, interior cross pattern that we're suggesting removing for a cleaner look here in the elevations, and I'll compare and contrast the old and the new, or the demo and the proposed. As you can see here, our proposed elevation on the street side changes what were a series of casement windows. In most cases, almost every window is a casement window here, for a now a cross 2/2 or basically a 4-light casement window, which holds up for basically all of the existing openings. We have suggested adding a few new openings, specifically on the northern facade, where there was very limited openings. There used to be 3 windows on the northern facade, which you can see down here. And we're suggesting adding 3 new windows within the existing faux beams to get this look here, which is very clean. And in addition, on the rear, we're exchanging all the windows in kind again, exchanging the patio doors as well. And we are suggesting removing this bay and changing it to a more traditional French patio style door instead of keeping the bay, which is mostly for interior architectural reasons. That is the bulk of exterior work. Just for the sake of understanding colors and materials, you can see here now that it's a very, very white, slight dash of cream exterior stucco with a dark brown clapboard and a dark brown faux beam. also with a very red brick with some iron spot bricks inside. We're suggesting that the bulk of this stuff is all being lightened to a slightly new shade of paint. The roof is to remain. And these are the colors and the colorway that we're proposing. So the existing roof is timberline barkwood, which is a dark brown to red. And we're suggesting changing the beams to this Revere pewter, which is like more of a darker beige. And then this light white, which is a little creamier. If you see below, there's a preview rendering on the lower left of the existing garage, just for context, and then a couple precedent images. The window types are proposed.
Before you move on, James, can you go back to that precedent?
Sure.
Are you painting the I think in your elevations you were, and maybe I just misunderstood what I was looking at. Are you going to paint the sashes the dark color or also the light color?
No, I think that's a function of this not so great rendering. So the sash and frame will be black.
Okay. Thank you.
The beam and any trim around it will be this Revere pewter.
Yep.
And also in turn, the Revere pewter is going on the brick base. So we'll be painting the base as well. And then this is an example of the window and the frame associated with it, which right now is an Anderson 400 series, which we're all familiar with. So this is like essentially the proposed entry door down here, patio doors across the back, patio doors from the interior. And that's, the bulk of the exterior changes.
There was some faux parcels or parts of the one of the elevations that were moving because they really weren't in the right place.
A couple in the rear. If you look in because we're taking out this bay, so we're redoing two new beams here, or two new faux beams here.
Okay.
This window, all of the windows across the top are existing. Most of them are in existing locations. We're trying to avoid too much change to exterior facade for cost purposes.
If you look at the elevation there, right below that.
Yes.
This
one? Yeah, this is proposed as changing. So this is where we're cutting in the 3 new windows. So we're bringing, none of the windows exist without a beam on the side of the window.
Right.
So what we're proposing is basically trading what was, basically trading trading this beam here for this beam here.
Right.
So that's just sliding over. So there'll be some minor facade work here, but on the whole, we're trying to just maintain the existing, which is frame the window as is, and keep rolling around.
And you're moving the mechanical equipment away from that window?
We are. We're probably sliding the units just a little bit to the west so that they're not underneath that window. So it used to be like literally right here. We're sliding it over so that we can.
Down, you see where they were.
Yep, you got
it. Jay, I only had 2 comments, which are relatively minor. Can you show us a picture of the garage doors?
Sure. And those are, right now we're proposing just painting those. We're not changing those.
Okay. And they're just straight roll-up doors, is that right? They just roll up? Yep. That was my one comment, if you could change those out, but I guess that's not. And then if you can go back to the elevation, and I'm not a big Cooter imitation, but there seems to be, and it's in the back, so I won't sweat it, on the back. Is that the back?
This is the rear. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to mark, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry, I'll stop zooming.
These look, oh, you moved.
Sorry.
This one, and that's it. because everywhere else, they'd never seem to float.
So you're talking about touching them down?
Yep.
Just so they make all the way down?
Yeah, it seems consistent with the language, but again.
Let me make sure it's just not a drawing error. Yeah, I think it's because of the old
the bay. Yeah.
The bay. Yeah, I mean that's consistent. I mean it doesn't occur over here, but it has this cross piece. So I could see additions of doing that, Ken, down to the down
or
to the
the
other portion.
horizontal, or one with the horizontal, but it's just it's not, look, it's the back. I'm not gonna sweat that one. But
well, we have to touch up this area anyways. So if you think adding those
Yep.
is,
I think it would just make it consistent.
I don't think it's a bad suggestion.
And are you adding any lighting on the back, James?
Not as of now, no. I mean, we're presuming at some point there'll be an additional application for unknown exterior work. We're trying to focus on the interior now, so we can get inside, and then there's going to be fence work because it's going to need an upgrade, and there might be some landscape related work, but we're not addressing that right now.
Okay, so it looks like anybody else have any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. It looks like we have a motion to accept as amended with the west elevation faux wood additions.
Yeah, adding beams here, and here. Yep.
Do I have a motion to approve as amended?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
James.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Have a good night.
You too. Okay. Moving on, we have ARB 20-28, 9 Beechwood Road, an addition.
Okay, hold on one second.
Hello.
We hear you.
Hey. All right. Thank you, everyone. My name is Peter Altamari. I'm with Michael Lewis Architects. Oh, I'm sorry. There's no video. I'm sorry.
No video. There we go.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm with Michael Lewis Architects. I'm here to represent my clients Daniel and Kelly Polenser for 9 Beechwood Road. You guys recently, I guess 6 months ago, we put the project before you guys for an addition to the house. But due to the COVID, everything got put on hold. You guys approved it. It went forward, but everything, my client couldn't pull the permit because everything was on hold. In the meantime, he said, well, let's upgrade a little more. And so he's asked us to add a portico to the front of the house, which we were very excited about, and also did change the specification on the handrail that, on the back porch, which you guys had previously approved as a Trex railing. Now we've updated it to a nicer aluminum handrail with stainless steel little cables. Let me screen share in. Okay. So you guys have my drawings, but this is the elevation, the main elevation of the front of the house. This was the part that was previously approved 6 months ago. So our client has asked us to add this portico to the front of the house. We looked at it due to scale. We did a couple studies where it came out higher, wider, but we thought this was the best use of it for scale. It does have a flat roof, which we have a small downspout that ties into the existing drainage that was pre-approved in the last filing. It's a white downspout, just like the rest of them on the house. We're going to paint it dove white, or white dove from Benjamin Moore, just like the rest of the house. The The existing lights are to remain. They're currently on the house and we're not touching them. There's no additional lighting on the portico. Let's see. Sorry. Okay. Here's a section through the portico with the column, the cornice section of the portico. Existing on the house, and I'll zoom into this. We have a surface mounted sunburst frieze and just some decorative trim. That's what we will be removing to add the portico to the house. We're going to do whatever patchwork we need to on the existing clapboard, and it will be painted as well to match the Stonington gray. Yeah, I mean, it's not too complex. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer.
What's the base of the portico? The step and the return?
That's an existing stone porch that that's gonna remain in place. We're not gonna touch it or make it wider. It's gonna remain as is.
Shane, there isn't a way to hide that downspout. The leader.
There was no, and there is no other way. Let me see if I can pull up the image of the house. So these are from the previous submission, and let me zoom in for you. Oh, sorry. No, so what we've done is we've readdressed, in the previous application, we no longer have the straight walkway. We do have a meandering walkway now from the driveway. What we did do is, because we have the tree and we have the plantings over here, we thought the best place to put the downspout would be on this side anyway. It hit it as best we could.
Yeah, the elevations didn't show the shrubbery, so that helps.
Yeah, understood.
Anybody questions?
Can you go back to that front elevation just for a second? You might have a.
There you go. Zoom out.
Yeah, you might walk it back a little bit, this downspout. I know what you're doing, but if you can walk, because you have the light fixture there.
Yeah, it was tough. Yeah, a simple thing like a downspout, it actually became quite a hassle. There's also a hose bib in this area too, which also caused a little bit of a hassle. Because of the way the detail in the cornice is actually, it's easier to, we were able to bump it out actually to get it down. So it avoids everything that's in the area.
And I think with the bushes, you really only see the top third of it anyway.
Right. And like I said, most of the approach is from this side of the house. Even from the street, because of that larger tree on the property, it's hidden.
My only comment, and it's really small, is that the downspout itself is round, I assume, and it looks like you've got it going right into that edge at the edge. So what you have is like a little overhang, which has a piece of trim on it. You can go to the section. I can.
Yeah, sure.
Because I assume it's the same detail all the way around.
Yeah, it is. Zoom. Sorry.
This is just a fussy detail, as always.
Well, sorry, wrong page. There we go. Yes, there's the gutter. Right. It's built into it.
Right. So it's probably. Can you? You know what? I can zoom in. So yeah, you'll want to make it a round gutter, small 4-inch gutter. That's fine. You're great. Fine.
Thank you. Okay.
My only comment was because of, again, the gutter, did you actually consider, does it make any sense to eliminate the sconce and just put light underneath the portico?
Oh, we were trying to not touch the lighting. The client, we didn't want to go into that much work. So the client had asked to leave the existing lighting.
I've got to suggest, I'm with you. I just picked it up. I would say if you hung a light under the roof, you'd be totally covered. Just put a light in the ceiling and then you could eliminate those two.
Yeah, I also think it would look better. I did it personally myself. I mean, it just, you get better light, you know, on the door, and you've got that gutter there. So therefore, if you get rid of that sconce, you're not going to even, you know, you could disguise it and hide it more with the shrubbery. But I understand if it really is that expensive, I can understand why your client doesn't want to do it. I think it's better light under the portico too.
There are so many inexpensive lights that can go underneath this here. Yeah. And it's high enough up.
It was the fact there was the electrical work. There was no additional electrical work in this project here.
You know, he's decided to go for the extra, you know, the big move, the big entrance. Here it is. Do the last piece.
Yeah, you could even do a flush mount. I mean, it's pretty expensive. But again,
we would still have the downspout. I know I could technically move it back a little further this way, but we would still have the downspout at the end of the day. Either way.
I think it's just about the two lights there. It's sort of weird, you know, they're where the pilasters would be in that, and you'd have some central light that everybody would, it hit me as soon as I looked at that section. We're being very unpicky and whatever, because it's a great gesture for that house. It improves it immensely.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
I would say to get rid of the stone paneling on the steps, but you know what? I'm pushing it.
All right, where are we?
I'm not going to push it.
yeah, same.
Okay, anybody else? So we're making a motion to approve the application.
So move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. And now we are to the final application of the evening, 20-29, 2 Fargo Lane, Casa Zeta LLC, fence.
Okay, I'm not sure who the representative is, so maybe if you can raise your hand.
Still a lot of participants.
Yeah. Sure.
Nobody yet there?
No.
The application in front of you.
I see the note that was given to me is Sean Singer is a representative, but I just don't see.
Well, there's a 973 number. Oh.
Yeah, maybe I can try. I think if you're calling in, you can raise your hand by doing *6, but let me try here. And hi, are you representing the next matter? I don't. It's a 973 phone number. No. All right. Any other suggestions here?
I mean, we don't even have the applicant will have the paperwork to open that we can even look at it to discuss it.
Yeah.
I can pull it up. Let me just, yeah, give me a second here. Sorry, 2 Fargo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it says Sean Singer. This is the chain link fence that came in.
Yeah.
you want me to share it?
You have it.
Have it.
Archie blows.
And it's not in color, so it's hard to see the and so that's where the fence is?
Yeah.
Right, I'm presenting on somebody else's behalf.
No, they're putting a fence there for their own reasons.
Yep. Let me just get this back. And we saw a picture of it. There it is. Sarah sent us a picture of it.
Is it not on the end of that?
It's not here, but I didn't pull down the revisions. I only pulled down the original. This is it. These are the sheets.
Revisions on this? I don't think there were.
No, but there was a picture that was sent in an email. Let me see if I can find the email. It was from Sarah. I'll stop sharing for a second.
I believe the picture shows an existing fence owned by the neighbor, and they're proposing to put up the same fence.
Yeah.
Well, they're proposing to put a similar fence to what's there, only higher. And the fence that's there is the neighbor's fence, for what I understand. But they will be putting this fence on their property, 6 feet high for privacy.
You know what? I don't see it now.
You want me to look and see if I can find it?
It did come in from Sarah, right? That's who it came in from?
Probably.
I don't see it anymore.
Let me look at my.
I see it on June 8th. No, 18th, sorry. June 18th.
Having a hard time getting back to my.
The 18th? Here it is. I found it. And it's rotated crooked. One second. Okay, let's see if we can pull it up.
Deb, I don't know whether or not Sarah answered your question as far as was the neighbor notified?
Did they get notice of fences? I can't remember.
No. And especially because it was on their own property.
Yeah, but what I was unclear on, and I would have asked the applicant if they had a representative tonight. So there's a fence going in. Is it smack up against the neighbor's fence? No.
It's a little ways away.
So, but the thing that always concerns me though is what grows in between the two fences.
That's the existing fence. You see that now? Yep.
That's what's his name's fence. The Lustenberg, I think, is the neighbor.
That's Lustenberg. Yeah, and then so they're going to have their fence, and then you're going to have a gap and a 6-foot high fence. Doesn't that seem?
I don't know how much of a gap there's going to be. I wish the applicant was on the phone. I mean, on the what you call.
So if they're not here, is it a good idea? I mean, should we be deliberating on this? It sounds like we should just pass.
No, we were just trying to identify what it was.
I gotcha.
Yep.
Yep. I think we should just postpone it to the next meeting.
I do too.
Okay.
All right.
Consider it postponed. Any other issues, questions? There's still 14 participants on. I don't know why, but any other questions, issues to come in front of the ARB? Anybody individually? Okay. I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right. Thank
you, folks. I'll get back to you as the issue progresses. I will get back to you and let you know what's going on with 2 Hancock Place.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Bye-bye now.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Larry, thank you. Sorry to keep you up so late.
Bye-bye.
And you too, Ed.
Have a good night.